What's up, guys, and welcome to Creating 2019, where we have been interviewing over 22 speakers. I believe it's 25 in total. Amazing, epic leaders who are on a mission to create so much magic on this world with their mission. And today we are diving into a topic that is really important to start looking at ourselves. Where have we not been willing to go? What's up, Chris? What's up, Gisela? Renat? What's up, my love? Where have we not been willing to go, and how to exponentially increase your success with the amazing Tamara Aeschliman. And I really love Tamara because she is an artist, she's a creator, she's a mentor, and she is always deeply seeking her edges. Where are her edges? And it's within those edges that we start to move past our comfort zone and start exploring those spaces where we've tuned out, where we've, have looked the other way. Those are the spaces that are calling us to, and they probably scare the shit out of us, right? Those are the spaces that actually probably scare the crap out of us. But those are the places where the most magic lies. And here is Tamara. Let me bring her on. I'm excited to jam with this amazing human being who I'm adding. Let's see.
Hey.
What's up? Do you have headsets?
Ooh, let me go run and get them quickly. All right. Am I echoing?
Yeah. All right. Well, she works on the audio. Gonna give it a sounds really bad. What do you mean by that? What are you working with? Sorry, sounds bad. What are you working on, Chris? If you want to share in the comments, or if you want to share privately, let me know. What do you need to build on, and the order in which to do so. That was a bit vague, brother. But I'm super excited to dive into this conversation because, what's up, Doss? This is where our edges lie.
Awesome. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. I have like a tower erected here. So I can sit comfortably here and have my son not interrupt me. So I apologize if the phone falls again like that, but we are flowing. We are working with what we got.
Yes. So I briefly introduced yourself, but I'd love for our audience to hear straight from you who you are, what you do, and what you're about.
Thanks, Michelle. Firstly, thank you for having me on here to be able to share some thoughts in medicine and love as we enter this new year. It's a really powerful container you've set up. So my name is Tamara Aeschliman, and this year I'm referring to myself as a firelighter because my intention is to play out really hard on my edge, to open up just wild new spaces that are more about, when I refer to my edge, it's about like my truth that I'm in resistance of. So that's what the edge means to me. And then I'm an artist, I'm a coach. My passion is really just think of myself as a big mama, like for Earth and all humans and animals, and just to love the like crap out of people and life, and to really help them see the brilliance in the truth of who they are, and to lean into that versus find ways to cover it up or to hide in any way, shape, or form, or to speak down upon it and think they need to be anything other.
I love that. And I love Tamara because she is truly someone that does embody that mama energy, and you feel really safe in her space. And I feel like that's a gift that not everyone has, and that's so beautiful. And she's a freaking badass artist. I want to bring her on a separate live so we can dissect her videos. I've been making that a point because her videos have so many subliminal messages, and they're just raw and potent. So we're gonna do a whole separate live on those videos.
Awesome. I'm excited. Raw is the word. That's pretty much this raw and love mama, big mama are like the main words, I think, to kind of describe the thread for everything I engage in. So
Love it. So let's dive in. I have a flight to catch later on, so
I
you know
know.
that I'm like in the
You're wild.
every minute is like deeply accounted for.
Yeah. Can I just interject quickly,
Yeah.
Michelle? I also just want to share with everyone, if you're in Michelle's like world, and you are obviously if you're watching this, but Michelle is a phenomenal human being. What she balances and weaves, and like what she was just saying right now, how she's packing everything in. So if you're here, congratulations, because it's going to be massive value. And also, I honor her and appreciate her so deeply. I've actually hired her as a coach for myself for the next 6 months. So understand you're getting loaded up here, and I definitely welcome you and invite you to work with her if you have an opportunity, because she doesn't voice the brilliance of herself enough, in my opinion. So I wanted to make sure I plugged that in.
You make me cry. Thank you. I received
Good.
that. Thank you, Mama. That means a lot, especially coming from you. Thank you.
Mm,
So let's dive
yes.
in. This is such a juicy topic because a lot of people love to master what they know, right? I call
Mhm,
them masters of comfort zone, but
mhm.
we very rarely, and this is what I highly admire about you, is that you're always playing at the edges. You are always pushing your edge. And that is something that not a lot of people do. So let's talk about this. Where have you not been willing to go? Let's dive in.
Where have I not been willing to go? Well, we actually, Michelle and I had a call yesterday, and I feel quite like raw on what we spoke about. So I would actually like to speak on that, because I think
Sure.
it's a massive topic that's present in terms of relationships in the world today and family units. And I think I would love to open the space on that. So,
Please.
relationships, where have I not been willing to go? I'll give a quick story of my experience. But my previous relationship was one that I experienced as very toxic, very abusive, and it led me to even moving to America from South Africa to for feelings of safety, and to start my life over. And I started from scratch here. And with my son and my two dogs, we took what was decade, 12 years of life there into two suitcases, and moved here and started over. And every year since then has been there's been a perpetuation of this feeling of like constantly being under attack. I mean, easily hundreds of thousands of dollars spent in courtrooms around the world to keep that line of safety. And it's a story that's just been continued. And uh, I would want to kind of say confession is in the work we do, it's all around like honoring each other and ourselves and respect and love. And I've not been living that, because I've always had an asterisk, like an exception next to this one person, next to my ex-partner, and who's also, the father of my son. So there's this constant, we have to be in touch with each other. We're not able to like sever that and just like forget about the person and move on. So he's been and continues to be, I would say, my biggest lesson and my biggest edge. And Michelle and I have been working together on that edge. And where I have not been willing to go is to move into softness and to move into trust, because of those feelings, the conditioning and the continuous traumatization that I have around my safety and not trusting. So what I've been doing is I've been playing into this game and enabling this. I'm going to pause because I've said a lot, and I'd love to hear what it is you're hearing and how you would like to pull it back, and then we can move forward from
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. I love that you brought this up, and it's I know that this is something that's really present for you. And
Mm,
again, not a lot of people would lead with such transparency and rawness and vulnerability. So I appreciate that you really brought that forth. Um, when people are looking at their edges, right? Sometimes I feel, Tamara, and I want your opinion on this, that like it's almost like we've turned a blind eye. We don't even see the edge.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? Because
Yeah.
with your partner, with your ex-partner, you and you didn't even see the need to be soft with him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was like not off in the blind spot somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, and we all have an edge in every area of our lives. So don't look at this just in relationship, guys. I want you to look
Right.
at the whole wheel of life. Where have you not been willing to go in your health? Where have you not been willing to go in your career? You know, for me personally, I haven't been willing to get messy in my career, right?
Mm.
And I haven't been willing to like own my results publicly, right? Which is something that one of my mentors calls false humility, right? Where we try to like, oh, that's fine, you know, I'm okay, and that has also that's my edge to own it. You know, I've made up stories that may come off arrogant, that may come off like to showing off, but in reality, that is my edge, to lean in
Mm-hmm.
and own it, and
Mm-hmm.
voice it, like you said in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can people become aware of their edge? I think this is such a great place to start.
Mm. Mm. Well, I think it's always important to request feedback.
Mm,
So the people around you, even the people you don't necessarily like or agree with,
yes.
they are seeing you from a different perspective, and so they're going to be recognizing patterns that we're not willing to see for ourselves. Because the thing is with the edge, a lot of the times it is actually quite obvious, but it's a blind spot because of our conditioning and or our wounding, and or there's just so much resistance that we build up stories to mask that, so we don't even recognize it as resistance. It becomes a truth with a capital T. So the first thing I would definitely say is to request feedback, to ask the people who are around you and who see you regularly, people you've been in relationships with, what they're seeing, what they're observing, patterns or places where um, there seems to be an element of stagnancy. Another thing is in general stagnancy. I don't like to use the word stuck because nothing is ever in one place, but it can be like stagnant, like moving in the same circle,
Yes.
kind of like an eddy in the water. So then what can you clear to create space for that to flow? Because everything in our life is meant to flow. So stagnancy is a really great place to look. And then for me, the number one is resistance. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Anytime resistance is present, I have a huge question mark. I'm like, what is this trying to tell me? What do I get to lean into here? And then my approach is then I go straight for it. If there's resistance, I dive in. And what's also present for me is wanting to state that a lot of times I think when we speak about edge and we speak about like breakthroughs and massive leaps in our lives, there's an assumption that it's like has to be this big thing. But the fascinating and the exciting thing is that our edge can be like the smallest thing. It could be a word we adjust, something that we say day in and day out, how we speak to ourselves or we describe our day. That like the edge is being willing to step into like joy, maybe, or being able to step into gratitude if I'm like a constant complainer. Um, the edge could even be how you dress yourself, how you present yourself,
Mhm.
how you celebrate yourself, like you were saying. So it doesn't have to be like some massive thing. And like one of my edges right now, as you can see, the fire red hair
I love it.
is I've been like very structured and black hair, and I'm now playing into different spaces because I started noticing that I love darkness. Darkness is something that I'm really comfortable in, metaphorically and literally. I've played in it a lot. And I am now, my edge is going to play in lightness. So that means being literally in the light more, wearing light more. I do have my black on right now, but I've got white buttons. It's a process at times.
We're moving on. We're moving along.
We're moving on. Changing the hair color from dark. So I'd love to hear what are indicators for you as well. What do you look for? And I think especially as a gifted coach, when you are looking into others, what are signs for you? Like, what are red flags? I won't necessarily use the word red flags, but what are like bright indicators that resistance is present, or that there's a blind spot present, or that there's an edge, they're on the precipice of like leaping over?
Yeah, and I love what you said, that every person's different. Every edge is going to look different, because that's so true. I think for me, when I'm coaching others, I'm looking for what have they been doing on automatic.
Yeah, that's good.
And then my goal, my intention is to disrupt the pattern. So if just to put it really simple, like if you're so used to going to the right or brushing your teeth with the right hand,
Yes.
just switching it up. And just
Yep.
that act alone is going to start sparking these like brain sparks, where you're going to start thinking, interrupting the thought patterns. So
Yeah.
for me, and you know me, I'm a big Illuminati conspiracy theorist.
I love it.
But it's all about disrupting the automatic, because when we are so in the automatic of our thoughts, when we're so habituated with our actions, we become like robots.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, using the analogy of driving a car. Do you remember when we like first learned how to drive a car? Every step was like mega calculated.
Yeah.
And now we're just like boop, boop, gone, right? And that's kind of what I want to bring to light, that automatic is serving in some ways, but in many ways it's also a huge disservice, because we are not being present to every moment.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it also, brings me to thought of, because what's under that, right? What's under the automatic is the truth of ourselves, the truth of our divinity. And so when we're not present to that, when we're not conscious of that truth, then it doesn't have the chance to flow through. So if we're doing what we can to be present, and then to build that awareness, to, as you say, to create those new sparks, it creates space for that to move through, and for us to get to know even the truth of ourselves. Because so many of us have been on automatic for so many years. It's like, well, is this me, or is this what my mom said I am? Okay. Is this me, or is this what was told when I was surrounded by girls being bullied in the second grade? Okay. So it's really helping like weave and get clarity and allow spirit to speak.
I love that.
Yeah.
Allow spirit to speak and to move through you. And how often are we experiencing the newness of life? Because we all say, and I hear so many people really saying this, and it's so true, every moment is new. But how often are we experiencing that newness in that moment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you feeling the wind on your skin? Are you feeling your breath leave your mouth? Are you feeling, your nostril hairs like move as you take a sniff right now? Do you feel your partner's lips like truly as you kiss them, or is it just like smack pressure? Do you feel your own hands? As you said, brushing your teeth, like, do you feel the vibration and how it reverberates through your whole system? And do you feel with the plaque literally coming off of your teeth? Like, when we're present, we truly can experience these things. And that is the magic, as you say, in the newness of every moment. And it is utterly breathtaking.
Yes. So we're taking people through this conversation of like, okay, just take a look at the wheel of life, every area of your life. Where have you not been willing to go? Where have you not been willing to lean into? And a lot of times it's the parts that scare us, right?
Exactly.
For me, for a long time, it's not that networking scared me, but I just didn't even want to deal with it, right? But that was my edge, to really connect with new people and meet new people in my work, right?
Thank goodness that you did.
But for people like, let's say, in relationship and career, how can we start creating that awareness of where that edge is? Where do you feel a person can start?
Um, well, I think the things that I in fear am responding to with a hell no. Like there's suggestions I'm like, or it's even the things we speak up first. So, for instance, bringing back around to my initial share when we started the call about my ex and leaning in, is the first thing I brought up to you was I feel like I need to say sorry, but there's no way I'm going to do that. And then like all the justifications came in and they were like valid, valid. Any eye who came in and like looked at my story would be like, oh hell no. And then you're like, so Michelle's like, so guess what? Exactly what we're starting with. I was like, blanked out. I didn't even bring it up. I was like, maybe I can like find my way around this one. Saying sorry. So I think as well, so like leaning into that fear, but intentionally creating safety around it. So I think when the fear is there, like it's legitimate fear and it's been you've been proven, your story's been proven over and over and over. So it's important if you really want to move into this to create a scenario in which you feel held and where your fear is validated and yet shown possibility inside of the possibility that it's a story, the possibility that more is there. And this is when it's important to really bring spirit, the element of spirit in, because if we're just talking on like human level, about these conversations, you're going to just keep on repeat. It's going to be on repeat. And faith and fear are both the same thing, essentially. One is just choosing hope and possibility, and the other is choosing like darkness and limits. So it's like, all right, which one do you want to lean into? Because they're taking the same energy and they're taking the same blind faith or the same blind beliefs, essentially. So what do I choose for myself?
I love that. And I love how faith and fear are like two different faces of the same coin. It's so good. And there's something that you said that I really want us to go back in a little bit. You said, sometimes we're in a story, and if we look at our story, yeah, people can validate it and say, yes, he's messed up, or, whatever it is. But we really get to take a look at how our story is serving us, and is it holding us hostage in the same place, right? If there's no growth in your story, if there's no happy ending that you're striving for, and it's not just I really want to preface this, guys, because a lot of times, because we've been brainwashed to be so consumerist, like me, what's in it for me? I hear that in marketing 101, what's in it for me? And I'm like, ugh. How can our story be a win-win? How can our story be just as much as a contribution and possibility for our life as it is for everyone involved in the story? And that's when you start to expand your story. And like one of our speakers said yesterday, you start impregnating the moment with so much possibility. I love that she used that word. So now, like, we're moving through these stories, and I want to also preface, guys, that you will find every Tom, Dick, and Harry to make you write about your story.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And to like take it on even more than you. Like they'll start convincing you when you start moving away, like how legitimate this is.
I just see one of them, I'm like, no.
Oh, I can totally see you. And you're like Spanish, like you're sass. You're so sassy. I love it.
I had a client reach out to me this morning with the same scenario of this, like, oh, people are telling me this. I'm like, love, is this the story that you want to be in? Because we're always going to find hyenas to validate our story.
Yeah.
But what you really want to look for is the people that hold space for your story and then say, all right, Tamara, all right, Michelle, now what?
Now what do you choose?
Yeah. What do you choose? Exactly.
so powerful. So powerful.
So I love that you said, what do you choose? Because I think that's also about our edges, really leaning into what are we choosing for ourselves? What makes you really explore your edges? Because I love this about you.
Ooh, good question. What makes me really explore my edges? It probably has some bit to do with one of my biggest fears of my life is mediocrity. So I have, because that is one of my deepest fears of dying and being like, I've lived a mediocre life. I have this intense desire and hunger to play all out. Um, Another reason I think is because I surround myself with phenomenal people such as yourself who are also on their edge. So there's this constant mirror of, okay, what next? Where else can I go? Where else can I explore? Where else can I open? Um, and I'm a real believer in just that we're each here brought on purpose, with purpose, by purpose, and that the greatest honoring of myself, the greatest honoring of my ancestors, the greatest honoring of my future, of my legacy, of my son, is by exploring that deeply, fully. Otherwise, like what was the point of them going through all that they went through? And what am I really leading forward for my son? And I use that word leading forward very specifically because we're all leading in our action, in our inaction. You know, it's like there's no neutrality. Neutrality doesn't exist. Fear, free of judgment, that doesn't exist. I was trained in conflict resolution in Austria by the UN and the African Union in a partnership. And that's one of the first things we're taught in conflict resolution is opinion. There's always an opinion present. So the first thing to do as the mediator, as the person like sitting at the table, is to state where you are and what assumptions are built in, and then to get under that. And then once you say like, this is what I'm sitting with, then it allows you to open your eyes and to see more clearly and to also create more trust. So
No,
yeah,
this
I'd
is so
say,
good. Keep going.
but yeah, I'm also exploring what your question live here because it's a beautiful question. Like, why do I've always so had, I think that's a part of what I've been given in this life. It's just like this fierce hunger. My nickname since I was like a wee little girl was Tiger, Tam Tiger.
I
My
love
family,
that.
everyone calls. I mean, I've gotten America Online email that's Tam Tiger. Now watch me get a whole bunch of like spam email. So it's always been there, that like fire. And you know what's also present for me as well? I think also with my heritage, with my father being South African and both my parents having been like incredible activists, fighting for social justice and environmentalism. And so being in those environments as a kid and seeing radical forgiveness amidst the most horrid of conditions, especially in South Africa with the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. So being exposed to the depths and heights of possibility, you know, and then reading Viktor Frankl and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, you know, like all my very first chapter book I read as a kid was this big, and it was Malcolm X's autobiography. It was the first book I read in school that was a chapter book. So like I've always been in that sphere, and the question of like, why not me? Like we're all powerful. And how, I want to say like how quickly can I get there, but I don't even think that. It's just what can I clear, and what can I bring to this present moment that is true and is bright and can rub off and allow others to see them as bright and true as I see them. And I would say my greatest edge is in honoring and loving myself as much as I honor and love even the stranger on the street.
This is so good.
Mm.
I want to dive into one
Yeah.
more thing before I ask you my last question that I ask all the speakers. This is a conversation that we've had, you know, you and I, we've staffed and coached together Bridge in London, in Canada, in LA, right?
Yeah. What a life, hey?
And we would always talk about this conversation of being too much.
Mm,
And I really want us to dive into that because I think not only is it relevant for women, but also men, where
mm.
we are in this like dimming of our light to appease and marginalize who we are so we fit in and make other people feel comfortable. But then there's this deep desire to be fully self expressed. And there's like this inner conflict when it comes to that. Can we talk about that? Let's dive
Oh, definitely. You know, it's like my favorite topic.
in.
Um, I'd love to actually share for that what occurred to me on New Year's and my breakthrough on that conversation for myself. And this is something I talk about constantly. And what what is radical about it is the breakthroughs and realizations haven't gotten less. It's just like it keeps opening like this infinite flower of blossom, you know? So, what occurred for me on New Year's Eve, when everyone's out like having parties and stuff like that, I was really feeling quite fatigued. Got home, got my son fed and ready, and there was this phenomenal, just like wind and rainstorm outside. And I had this creek that flows in front of my home, and it was flooding, and it was like angry, and everything in my body was, I mean, I was in like a puffer coat, hood pulled tight. I was in Wellingtons, like I was, you know, all weathered out. And everything in my system was like, go jump in the water now, leap into the water. And I'm a part of like a complex building, and everyone's windows are facing where I would have jumped. So it's like, that's crazy. That's like too much, right? So the crazy, anytime like the word crazy comes up, it's in that conversation of too much and not enough. And to me, not enough and too much are the same conversation. They're the
Say that
same
again.
game.
Say that again.
So not enough and too much, they're the same conversation.
So good.
Yeah. So it's a game we're playing into. So whenever those words come up, that's like alert. So for me, the other words that are alerts in that conversation are like crazy, or what are people going to think? What are people going to say? I could never do that. Those are all red alerts for me in that conversation of not enough and too much. So that dinged me. So I was like, all right, let me lean in here. Like what's going on? So I walked along the roaring creek for a solid hour, but just feeling the wind, and like my soul was speaking, and it just like it felt amazing, but there was still something there. I still had this voice of like, jump, jump. And I'm like, that's crazy. And I was like, red alert.
That's it.
So I took so I took my boots and I went in ankle deep, like in the area that wasn't so like loud. And then I heard the voice again. It was like, jump in. And there was a specific spot that my voice was like wanting me to jump into. I'm like, girl, you're crazy. This is how we're starting 29. You just feel crazy. Red alert. So I got to the effort point and I was like, I can't believe it's taking me this long. And I stirred up. I jumped in my duvet coat, or like whatever you call these puffer, like full puffer jackets, rain boots, fully clothed. And at that time, of course, people are like walking by because God has perfect timing. And like, we're going. And I jumped in fully. And it was so like rowdy, the water from the storm, that it was like carrying me down like this buoy, boop, 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 down. And I, in that moment, it was immediate. Every cell in my body was like regenerated. It was just like it was almost like every cell in my body was replaced. And there was this vibrancy that breathed through my cells. And I got out and I emptied my boots of water and weeds and whatever had gotten into them. And like, it was like so heavy. And I went in, and I was complete. And it was just that's what my soul was calling. That's what my soul was needing. And it was only once I indulged it fully that the voice stopped and it was like, I've heard you. And the reason I shared that, and what I want to bring it back to with your question, is like, that's way too much for a lot of people. Like, that's straight up cray cray. Like, I'm surprised no one called. But what broke through for me in the conversation of not enough and too much is that we are each a reflection of God, and yet we're all like a different reflection of God. So me expressing the fullness of what is calling, me expressing the fullness of what is whispering to me to do, whether it may seem crazy to you or not, is a piece of God that is being shown to you through my journey. And it is only a piece of God that can be revealed through my expression. So
Good.
It's not going to be understood by anyone else because it's never been seen before. So when that too muchness comes up, when those red alerts come up, it's like, boom. Okay, Tam, that is an expression of God that's wanting to be seen. And it can only be expressed through you in this moment. So that's where I'm going to play, and that's where I'm committed to playing.
This is so good. And I really want people to get that, like, learning to honor what's being asked of you, what this moment is asking of you, where spirit is guiding you. And it's I love that you made some red flags, like, you're crazy, what are people gonna think, this is too much, or I'm not enough for this. Like, all these thoughts is our ego holding us, keeping us safe, keeping us comfortable, and the ego does serve a role. I get it. And at the same time, what that experience that you had was priceless.
Priceless.
Right? And if you had negated those whispers, there was a part of you that would be feeling, I'm assuming, incomplete.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
I love this. I love this. I think it's so important, guys. And I'm even in this conversation where, I want to shine bright, and then I'll dim it back in just to, like, appease my surroundings. And, there's no healing in that. There's no evolution for us both. For the person that I feel I need to dim my light for, or for myself, right? The breakthrough is in shining super bright to the point that everyone impacted by our light is ignited by it, right? And yeah, it may cause some stuff, and that's cool, but you gotta keep shining.
Feature, it will.
You gotta keep shining, because that's part of your medicine. You are not here to be everybody's cup of tea. You're here to be your cup of tea, and the more you can shine bright and break through those fears of, like, what will people say, what will people think, oh my God, will I look crazy? Girl, I've been called crazy my entire life. And I'm still, and I don't know if you could relate to this, Tamara, I'm still not feeling like I'm at 100% fully out there.
Handbrake is on hardcore still. That's what I experienced for myself. Yeah, I'm in sixth gear. It's like, yeah.
Right? So this is so good. I thank you for having this conversation with me. And before we get into my last question, I want people to know, how can they connect with you? How can they reach you? Anything that you have going on. This woman is phenomenal. If you guys, even as an artist, as a producer, like, she is just amazing. She's someone that I keep telling, girl, you're just a visionary ahead of her times. Like, so work with her.
I agree with that, by the way.
Work with her. She's innovative, and she will bring your light out no matter what. How can people reach you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle, for that. Easy peasy. You can grab me here through Facebook, through Instagram. You can email me, Tamara at tamara-aeschliman.com. Go on my website. I'll just tag them in here at the end. So I'm really playing this year a lot in groups, and I'll be launching at the end of this month. So keep your eyes peeled. Phenomenal program. Small, but, like, transformative. And then my videos, Jen, like, watch my videos. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've got several going on right now that should be coming out as well. And if you want help, anything in like creative problem solving and creative direction, like that's my bomb diggity dog do. I'm like brilliant at that, and I love it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
one of my gifts is like I can always find a solution for anything, anywhere, and it's a true gift. So I always find a way, and it's one of my foundational beliefs is that there is always a way. So reach out to me for that, anything creative, or just to say, hey, and let me know if something landed for you in this. And yeah, so thanks for the opportunity, Michelle. And if I can, just before, I didn't even take a breath because I knew you were going to speak. And I want to be like, I got to get in there. So let me take a breath. um, I, I always think it's really important so to provide a few language tools when we bring something into the space. So in this conversation that we just had around like not enough and too much is that when you're choosing to play in that space and listening to those flags and diving into what the voice is calling you to do is what I hear a lot of people saying is I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, I don't know where to start. So the I don't know is a very ineffective phrase. So my request is if you walk away with one thing is to replace I don't know with the words I'm exploring. I'm exploring. I'm exploring. I'm exploring anywhere and everywhere in your life, because that then allows your brain and your heart to like, okay, what's here? What's here? What's present? What resources are available? What's being spoken to me? So I'm exploring. And there was another one, but it's gone. So I'll just leave it with that for now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So my last question, darling, that I ask all of our speakers is, what are 2 to 3 tips on creating an epic year?
It's 2 to 3 tips. So obviously, number one for me is going to be dive into the edge. So um, every week, first thing you do, I mean, this alone will transform your year. Every week, the first thing you do on Monday is say, what scares me the most, and do that first. All right. All right. Number two, every week, speak a truth to someone you love about yourself and that you see about them.
Love that.
So it's about them like connecting. And then 3, to make this the most epic year, joy, expression, skip the hell out of your life. It's such a simple tool, and we are all so gosh darn serious for the majority of the time. Skip. I'm gonna add one more, and then it's language. So just be super aware of your language to yourself, to your life, and towards others, and ask the question: if I were the ultimate priority, if I were the ultimate desire, if I were the ultimate win in my life, because you are, what would I be doing differently? What would I be saying differently? And then do that first.
I love these tips. So good. Diving into your edge, asking yourself on Mondays what scares you the most, and doing it. Just think about the freedom on the other side of just doing that and starting your weekend on such a high that you've leaned into your fear in such a courageous way. This is so awesome. Language is amazing. Definitely. I love how you broke it down. How do you speak to yourself, to life, and to others? Because in many ways, for me, it's all one and the same. So I love that you broke it down that way. Skipping. I'm going to try that. I'm going to take that.
Yes. The kids will follow you too. Elijah like even catches me. We skip everywhere.
I love
everywhere.
I love that. Mama, thank you so much.
Thank
I honor
you.
you and your work and all the magic you're creating in this world. Please follow her. She is a beast at what she does. And I can't wait to continue. Hope to see you soon. Guys, today we had one speaker, but I'm going to be going live in the Creating 2019 group to do a live in there. And then tomorrow we have 2 more lives, and we are ready to go. But we are almost there at the finish line, and I'm really praying that you guys got a lot of value and that you are not just marking it down as a great idea, but really implementing, because that's where the magic happens. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you again. I love you, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.